start to stain it, like this one right here. This was a real one, and it used to be a nice white color like this, but so many people have touched it that it's turned a kind of gross brown color. The fake ones, I will let you guys hold and touch if you want, but only the fake ones. So, we're first going to go over a couple different traits that you can identify so that you can learn how to recognize different things about different animals. This guy right here, first off, go on ahead and take a finger and brush it down his teeth and tell me what you notice about the teeth. A little bit. They're really sharp, right? Yeah, so are they sharp or flat? Sharp or flat? Sharp. Sharp? Oh, you guys gotta go?
They aren't exactly serrated, but you got like a good amount of them.
They're in the back. So a lot of the reason why they feel pretty worn is because of the fact that this is a model as well. But they are still technically serrated incisors. This guy right here with sharp teeth, what does that mean an animal eats if they have sharp teeth? Carnivore. So what does a carnivore eat? Oh, meat. Meat. That is correct. Yes. So carnivores do eat meat.
Did you
so
need to go to the bathroom?
Sharp incisors and canines to be able to actually eat different meats. He actually his family species is named after this tooth, his canine tooth. Does anybody here know what a canine is? Yeah, dogs, right. So this right here is indeed in the canine family, a type of dog. So we've got our teeth right there. Now what about his muzzle right here, his nose? It looks pretty long, right? It's a lot longer than my own, right? Yeah. So what does that mean, do you think, when you have an animal that has a really long nose like this? Do you think good for sniffing? Right, yeah. You wouldn't think that he would be bad at sniffing, right?
Most likely not, like, interfere with humans. Maybe like a cat.
So this one actually has not been interfered with humans at all.
Yeah, maybe like...
So this guy right here, he is a completely wild canine. This guy right here, what? Coyote? No. So this guy right here with this big nose, bigger noses, bigger muzzles, or bigger nostrils means that they have a better sense of smell, because your sense of smell is identified by something that we call a Jacobson organ. Humans have one as well. Our Jacobson organ is back here right behind our nose in the sinus area. And your Jacobson organ identifies different smells and pheromones for you. So when you smell something in the oven cooking versus bleach in the sink to clean things, your Jacobson organ grabs the pheromones from the air you breathe and sends it to your brain for processing, and then you're able to figure out what it is that you're smelling. So the bigger your Jacobson organ is able to get, the better your sense of smell is going to be. So you can either have a really long muzzle, or you can have really big nostrils to breathe in a whole bunch of air and take in a bunch of pheromones. Humans, we actually have one of the weaker Jacobson organs of the animal kingdom, just because of the fact that we don't really use our sense of smell the way that other animals tend to. We don't have to rely on it as much, because we put our reliance more in things like our eyesight and our sense of touch and our sense of hearing. So this guy right here does have a really good sense of smell. Speaking of eyesight and hearing though, where do you think his eye sockets are? Go on ahead and point it out to me. Right there? Yeah. That little bit, where do you think the eye sockets are? Yeah, right there, right there.
Yeah, same.
Exactly, yes. So this right here, this little circle, this half circle is the eye socket. This part right here does not actually have to do with the eyes. We'll get to that in a bit. But the bigger the eye socket, again, the same principle applies as with the muzzle. Bigger eye sockets means you get bigger, more complicated eyes. You're able to see different things. This guy right here does have some pretty decently sized eye sockets. They're a bit smaller than ours, so he can't see as much as us or as well as us, but he does still have better eyesight than, say, a fish, for example. So, bigger eye sockets means better sense of eyesight as well. And now, when we flip this over right here, see these little bulbs right here? You can touch them if you'd like. Those little bulbs right there.
This is scary.
So yeah, they're not gonna hurt you.
I'm terrified.
So, those little bulbs right there, any guesses as to what these bulbs are for?
Like right here, maybe?
You think that it's part of like their throat for sound? So, you are on the right track, because yeah, you can see here when I put the jaw in, it is in the back of the throat area. However, their actual voice box would be a little bit lower, more around here. This right here embedded into the bone is actually their inner ear.
Oh.
So this is where things like where their eardrum and stuff resides. And you can actually see there's a tiny little hole right there. That tiny little hole leads up to the ear canal, and then their ear would actually, the cuff of their ear would be around this area. So, the bigger these bulbs are in proportion to the skull, the better the sense of hearing, once more. So this guy does have some pretty big bulbs. He's got some pretty decent hearing. And then, I did mention how this gapping right here in the jaw area is going to come up later. It's actually tied to this piece of bone right here. Does anybody know what this is called? I'm sorry? Your cranium. So it is indeed part of the whole upper part is the cranium. So it is a specific part on the cranium, one that humans actually don't have. If you actually feel the back of your skull, do you feel any kind of thin like that on the back of your head? Yeah, no, right? So our skull is nice and smooth. This right here is what we call a sagittal crest. So the sagittal crest, the bigger and taller this fin is, the more muscle from the jaw can connect to it. It goes up and it connects right through here and latches onto the sagittal crest. So the more muscle that you can have connected, the stronger the bite force of the animal, which for predators is really, really good because that is how they tend to kill their prey. So, for this guy right here, he actually has one of the bigger sagittal crests of the mammals. He has one of the strongest bite forces of them even. And that does make sense because he is kind of canine. So we did have somebody who guessed that he was a coyote before. Does anybody else have any other guesses as to what kind of dog this is?
I want to say
Hyena. I don't know.
A hyena? So actually, hyenas are not actually in the canine family. Hyenas are actually more closely related to cats than they are dogs. They are not in the feline family, but they're actually an offshoot branch from the feline family. So they are actually more closely related to them instead.
Kind of
This
looks
guy right here
too
now-
small to be a wolf.
Huh?
So it looks too small to be a wolf.
He is actually indeed a wolf.
He is a wolf.
Yes, this right here is a replica.
I stole your answer.
This right here is a gray wolf replica skull.
Ah.
So gray wolves, they are one of the bigger canines that you can actually find. And a lot of the reason why they look so big in the wild is a lot because of the fur volume that they've got. They have really, really thick coats as well as a lot of muscle on them. But the bone itself is actually pretty small in comparison. So this right here is our gray wolf. And so now that we've gone over some basic traits, we've gone over things like their muzzles and teeth, hearing and sight and such, we can apply those rules to other skulls that I've got. Let's go on ahead and move on to this guy right here now. Looking at this guy, so this one is a real one, so we do have to be careful when handling this one. Does it look the same as our canine skull? Not the same, right? What are some differences? Does anybody have a difference they can tell me? What's the difference? Smaller snout? I'm sorry, what? Yep, the jaw, so they have less teeth and it's smaller?
we basically don't have a crest.
Yeah, no crest, right? No sagittal crest, really? Bigger canines, right. So, this guy right here now is not a canine family member, which we can deduce because of those changes that we've noticed. They have a much smaller muzzle, less teeth as a result, and they do actually, this part right here is supposed to be filled with bone, but they do still have pretty wide nostrils if you actually cover that part up. This right here just broke, sadly. But so this guy right here does have really wide nostrils, so he does have a really good sense of smell still. What about the eye sockets? Is that bigger or smaller than our wolf friend? Bigger, right? Yep. So that does mean what about this guy? Better eyesight, right. This guy is actually really well known for having amazing night vision. And that's because of the fact that with bigger eyes, they can get something special that we call the tapetum, which covers the back of the eye. The tapetum reflects light back through the front of your eyes, through your pupil, which lets you actually see in the dark better. And that's the reason why their eyes glow in the dark, is because it's light reflecting back from the tapetum. So this guy has amazing night vision. What's your question?
Is it domesticated?
It is not domesticated. No, that is a good question. So this guy is not domesticated, although there are breeds in their family that are domesticated. Or not breeds, I should say, species in their family that are domesticated. So this guy right here, though, even though we did look at the teeth that they're smaller, would you say that they are sharp or flat? They're sharp, right? So just like our wolf friend, they're pretty dang sharp teeth. So what does that mean about this guy? If he's
It
got
is a
sharp teeth?
predator, and I do believe that it is a feline.
Oh, yeah.
A fox? So foxes would actually be in the canine family, and I do actually have a fox skull right here.
Oh my god, it's so tiny.
Yeah, the fox is a lot smaller. Foxes are very, very tiny. What was your question?
Is it a feline?
It is indeed in the feline family, yes. Yep. So this guy right here is indeed a type of cat, a wild cat. So not a hyena. I like where your head back.
I'm gonna keep saying that.
So this guy right here is actually the last true big cat we have here in North America.
Oh.
We do have
Mountain
other
lion?
cats, but they're not as big.
A bobcat?
A bobcat. This guy is actually bigger than
A mountain lion?
mountain lion. This right here is our mountain lion skull. Mountain lions are also known as pumas or
I keep
cougars.
stealing them.
They are the last true wild big cat that we've got in our continent. If you go down south, you can find other big wild cats again, but these are the last ones here in North America. We did actually once have our own version of a lion, the western lion. They looked very similar to African lions. They had a mane and everything, but we did end up hunting them to extinction when we started colonizing. So that's never fun. So mountain lions are our last true big cat.
Is that an adult skull?
I'm sorry?
Is that an adult skull?
It is an adult, yes. Now, there was somebody who said bobcat. Let me see here.
No.
This one right here.
Oh my gosh,
So
wow.
bobcats, they are still a wild cat, but they're not a big cat because of the fact that they are on the smaller spectrum of things. You can see how drastic the difference is.
I never would have imagined.
I'm sorry? No, it is not a juvenile. All of the ones that we have are adults, except for our coyote skull, which is right here. So this one right here is our coyote skull. This one was a juvenile. So this one is on the smaller end. But that is the only one we have that was a juvenile. This one right here is an adult bobcat, and you can see, even though they're different species, they do still have a lot of the same traits: the wide nostrils, the big eye sockets, such things like that. I sadly don't have a cheetah skull, but it would look similar in size to the mountain lion. And then this one right here, super, super delicate. Hold on 1 second. This little guy right here. Any guesses as to what that is?
That looks like a
Mouse? Well, so it has the same. It has the same traits as our feline skulls, right?
A domesticated cat.
It is indeed a domesticated cat. So this one right here was somebody's pet. When the pet did die, they donated the skull to a museum for ambassador talking about bones and animal structures and such. And so we bring it out to talk about with our other felines. But I was informed that this little guy did live a long, full life, so don't be sad about it. Your time naturally came. So we've talked about canines and felines now. So I can actually talk about every other skull that I've got in here.
Cool.
If you guys would like to put
What's that large one?
this one? Okay. It is not a lion, no. This guy right here is, I actually don't know what happened to it. I do not have our lion skull with us, but our lion skull is much bigger. Oh yeah, lions are massive. They are massive cats. Their skull is, I want to say at least a size or two bigger than this one, and it's very boxy.
Wow.
Huh? No. So this guy right here is actually not a feline at all, and we can tell because we can compare it to our actual feline skulls. Do they have the same muzzle? No.
Similar to
Eye
the,
sockets. No, this guy's are even bigger than this guy's, right?
yeah, it's more similar to a
Do they
canine.
actually have the same teeth? You can touch them if you want. So these ones are real, so do be very careful with them. A little bit flat, right? You can touch them if you'd like, on the top or the bottom.
I say
So-
it's more similar to a canine.
Mm-hmm.
Got those clutches.
Yeah. So, they have different teeth, bigger eye sockets. And you guys remember when I was talking about the inner ear, the bulbs that they've got? This guy's right here. You can see how flat they are, right? That's because this dinosaur.
No, I didn't.
A dinosaur. So I don't have any dinosaurs with me right now, but I can actually grab the recreational dinosaurs also we have.
Whoa. Yeah, sure.
So, for this guy right here now, the inner ears, you can see they're not the same hollow bulbs like what our wolf had. They're a bit more ingrained into the skull. They go a bit deeper inside. Yeah, let's not mess around, guys. So,
Settle down, guys.
This guy does have really good hearing still. It's just ingrained into the skull instead of protruding outwards. Now, when it comes to our skulls, I'm actually going to go on ahead and let's move this ball really quickly here.
Right.
Because I do want to do
When do we go to lunch?
comparison.
12:15. What time
When
is
it
it?
comes to our wolf skull, for instance, when I take it around,
I was pretty sure we still have
do
lots
you
of time.
guys see this
Yeah, it's
line
only
going
11:30.
across right here, across the ball? See that line right there? So, one second, we'll get back to it. I'm going to talk about a trait with its eye sockets. So, you see that line right there going across?
Oh yeah.
So that line right there is the cheekbone for our wolf. Humans, we also have our own cheekbones right here connected to the eye socket. So their cheekbone is right here at the ridge of their muzzle. Now for our big one right here, you can see here,
Stop your giggling, I'm trying to learn.
inside the eye socket, right? See how the line goes inside the eye socket?
A
So these
cheekbone
guys
inside
right here,
the eyes.
they have such big eyes, it's actually pushing the eye socket down
That's
to
crazy.
make more room for the
Oh.
eyes. So it's actually pushing the cheekbone in to make bigger eyes.
Could it be like a boar?
A boar? No. So this guy right here is actually semi-aquatic, meaning that he
Oh.
spends a lot of his time in the water.
Crocodile.
They're actually also
No.
named after the state of California.
That does not look like an alligator.
Alligator?
So what was your guess?
She's like, looks like an alligator.
That ain't an alligator.
So I'm actually glad that you brought that up because that is a good thing to know. When it comes to animals, how do you tell if it's a reptile or not when you only have their skulls? And there goes the So, these guys right here, when it comes to humans, you guys are aware how when we're born, our head is a bunch of different plates that fuse together, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same for other mammals as well. They have different plates that fuse together, and then in the end, we only have two parts for our skulls. We've got our cranium and our lower jaw, which is called the mandible. When it comes to reptiles, they have the same plates fusing for their lower jaw. So they would actually have plates that you can see fusing together, and that's how you know if it's a reptile or not. Yeah, so this guy right here does not have those different fusing plates. It's just one strong jawline. So it's a mandible and a skull, so we know it's a mammal. Now, with this guy being semi-aquatic, he is what's known as a piscinivore. Does anybody know what that is?
Oh.
So a piscinivore is a type of carnivore that specializes in eating fish. So
Makes
these guys
sense.
like to eat a lot of different fish. And like I mentioned,
Could it be like a bear?
a bear, so he is semi-aquatic. Bears are not semi-aquatic. They do spend a lot of their time living on land. This guy right here is one of the bigger species that you can find in his family, and again, named after California. They have big flippers that they use to walk around on, and they're known for barking. So not a seal, what's the other creature? A sea lion.
Sea lion.
Yeah. So this right here is a California sea lion.
Oh, okay.
Now this one right here is a real skull that we did actually get donated to us. The guy who found it was taking a walk on the beach and he saw it just laying there in the sand, and he was like, oh, I gotta grab that and take it and clean it up because it's a really good specimen, which it is. Sadly, the jaw is broken in half, which the glue, it looks like, did wear out, so we do have to glue that back in, sadly.
It already broke it.
Yeah, oh yeah, well these things are super, super delicate,
watched
and the
it.
glue that we have to use, we have to make sure that it won't deteriorate the bone, so we have to use a little bit of it at a time, and it just simply snapped off this time, so we'll have to re-glue it, sadly. This is actually the first time. I'm a little embarrassed about it. It came to us broken, and then we glued it, and then just now the glue snapped apparently, so we gotta re-glue it. But that right there is our California sea lion.
That was
Does
cool.
anybody else have a skull that they see that they would like me
What's
to cut?
that big odd one?
This one? Which one?
The triangle one.
This one?
Yeah.
In the very back?
Yep.
Okay.
Those are the giant ones.
So, this
No
one right
dinosaur
here
ones,
is
babe.
also a real one. So he is missing a couple teeth, specifically the ones right here in the front. Now these teeth right here are what we call tusks. Right? So they're a little bit different than canines in that they're used differently. So we'll actually go on ahead. You can see his teeth. Are those really flat or really sharp? Very flat teeth.
You think this one's the walrus?
They look like human teeth.
I feel like a walrus would be bigger than a sea lion.
I want to say walrus, but maybe not.
You want to say what?
Walrus.
Walrus. So this guy is not actually aquatic. This guy is actually native here to Arizona. You can find these guys walking around in our deserts.
Oh,
Oh.
So these.
there's some
So do you
weird
guys want to go over the facts first? Do you want to go over the facts first, or do you want me to just tell you?
Tell us.
Facts. Okay. All right. So this guy right here, he uses his tusks to help him eat in the wild. They actually use their tusks to dig for roots, as well as use it to get cactus flesh.
I bet it's a boar.
They are known as herbivores.
Javelina.
Yes, this is a javelina. Right? So,
Good job.
Javelinas are known for eating cactus flesh. They are what we call opportunistic omnivores. They do prefer eating plants, but they will eat meat as well if given the opportunity.
And your garbage.
So it's a javelina. So hyena is in Africa. Javelina is a peccary here in Arizona. Have you
like
guys
a
ever
fish
heard the
there.
word peccary before?
No.
Yeah? Do you know what a peccary is?
No,
But you heard it, yeah. So peccaries are not pigs. They actually don't have any relation to pigs,
Oh.
but they look very similar to them.
Gotcha.
That's because they fill out the same ecological niche that pigs do in the wild.
Conversion,
So pigs, like
evolution.
wild boars, they tend to be found in areas where they need something to recycle a lot of different trash and garbage in the environment. They eat pretty much everything: plants, meat, all kinds of stuff. So plants tend to be really good in a bunch of different types of nutrients. I mean, humans eat plants as well, you know? So they give you different types of proteins that meat may not be able to give you. So a lot of different animals tend to be omnivorous even, meaning that they eat both meats and plants. Humans are omnivores. So we've got our molars, our back flat teeth, but we've also got canines, our front sharp teeth to be able to eat meat. This guy right here does prefer eating plants, but will also eat meat. Pecuaries tend to evolve in areas that are very small or have such a limited amount of food available that a full pig is not able to actually grow and evolve and live there. So pecuaries ended up evolving to look very similar, but they are not in any way related actually. Fun little fact about them. So this little guy, our javelina friend, is in the pecuary family. Anybody else have any questions about this guy? No? All right. Then I can go on ahead and talk about a different one. And if you guys want to come up close so that you can look at the skulls better and choose, you're more than welcome to.
What's that one? What's that one on the bottom?
Okay, so this one right here, we'll bring out, and then what was the other one on the bottom?
The bottom corner right there.
The one that, this one right here. This guy.
Oh.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. Demonstrate you. No, it is.
Is it nice?
It is a skull, yes.
Oh.
Anteater, yeah, it is an anteater. Right off the bat.
Oh.
Wow.
I also had it.
This guy right here is our anteater skull. well. So anteaters are known for having their really long mouth. We are missing the mandible for this guy.
Okay.
He is supposed to have a bottom jaw. But you'll notice when I bring him close, there are no teeth, right? This right here is the top jaw. This right here is the top jaw. Their mouth goes all the way down. So they do not have teeth because they do not actually need them for eating. Oh, that came out of our sea lion. Hold on. The things that anteaters eat. What do anteaters eat?
Ants.
Ants, yes.
I almost said
Ants,
eat.
termites, a bunch of other types of insects. So the food that they eat is so small, they don't actually need to chew it before they start digesting it. They have a really long prehensile tongue. Prehensile means that the muscles allow it to move in different ways. Your own tongue is prehensile. That's the reason why you're able to curl it and use it to like tie cherries and knots and things like that. Cherry stems and knots. What's your question?
Are they like?
So it does depend on what type of anteater you're dealing with. Certain anteaters have different types of ants that they're native to, and they do have different defenses against them. Like ants, fire ants, for instance, are actually known as an invasive species. They've been spread around into many different places that they were not originally from. And anteaters in those areas do sometimes have trouble eating them because their venom is so painful for them. They don't have the same defenses as the anteaters in the actual place fire ants are from. I think it's because of the fact, this is my knowledge, I don't know for certain the naming of it, but I would think it's because of the fact that they do tend to go after ants primarily, but they do go after other insects, and I think that that's something that they just decided, I see them eating ants more often than anything else, but I don't know for certain the actual history of the names.
They're probably like, oh, look at that strange creature slurping up those ants.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Ant eater.
So this guy does not have any actual teeth because he doesn't actually need them to digest. He uses his long prehensile tongue to stick out, and his saliva is super, super sticky, so the ants end up getting stuck to it a lot like a fly trap, and then they can suck them back in, and then they swallow, it goes down to their stomach.
That's why they look like.
Yeah, exactly. They don't need them to chew anything. They put their nose against it and they just, they're putting their tongue down into the hole and they're slurping everything up. And then the fact that they're intruding on the ant nest, it makes more ants come out because they're trying to defend their home, and so more of them get slurped up. But so their tongue is really, really long and prehensile, and then they slurp it back up, and it sits all along the length of their jaw and rests in their throat area, a lot the way that like chameleons and such do. And then of course we've got the eye sockets right here. They have some pretty big eye sockets for an animal that doesn't really need them that much. But that is because of the fact that they do get preyed upon. So having a decent set of eyes means that they're able to keep an eye out for predators. And then you can actually see even right here, the bulbs for the inner hearing. So they have, their bulbs do protrude, but they are very small in proportion to the skull. So anteaters do not actually have that great of a sense of hearing. So that is our anteater buddy right there. We're going ahead and put him right here.
Guys,
Now,
I think my grandpa might be an ant.
I do believe I have about like 15 minutes. So somebody did also point out this skull to me.
What the heck? That looks like
That's a bovine.
So this one right here is actually in the same family as this one right here.
Which one? Both of them.
So does anybody know what type of animal these are? Yes.
Reindeer.
These right here are specifically deer. Reindeer, also known as caribou, are still in the same deer family, but neither of these are caribou. This one right here is a white-tailed deer. This one is a mule deer. And they're actually super fascinating to talk about, specifically because of the buck right here. So The reason why I like talking about the buck is specifically because of these right here. Does anybody know what these are called?
They're antlers.
Antlers, right. Does anybody know the difference between antlers or horns, or is there even a difference? You know? And what about horns?
What?
So you're on the right track. The big difference between antlers and horns has to do with what they're made out of. So you can see here the antler is actually firmly attached to the skull. What does that mean? If it's firmly attached to bone,
Yeah, we try to.
so yes, they do fall off. For deer though, for deer, elk, and moose, their antlers are made out of bone and they actually grow straight out from the skull.
You'll be okay.
And
You
so
can go
the
hang
thing
out
is,
at
though, is that with their antlers growing
the
straight
stomach
from
if you
the
want.
skull, they do not actually have any nerve endings or anything in there. And so once their mating season is over, which their mating season is in fall, once it's over, they actually do shed their antlers, and then come spring, they will start to grow a new pair of antlers that will grow back bigger and fuller with more branches and twines coming off of it. This one was still a very young buck, which is why his antlers are still pretty small. But if he had lived a little bit longer, he would have come back with another third prong. They would have started growing bigger and wider. And so that actually is super interesting though, because what is it that makes bones really strong? Starts with a C.
Calcium.
Calcium, that's right. Calcium is what makes your bones really strong.
You
How do
weren't
you get
supposed to be
calcium?
participating. It's our thing.
Yes, milk. You have
We're
to
the
drink your
ones
milk,
that
right?
are learning.
I'm
So,
learning
Do you
too.
think that a deer is able to go to the nearby quick store and get a gallon of milk to
No.
regrow their bones? No, they do not. They are not able to do that. So instead, deer, just like our javelina friend, are what we call opportunistic omnivores. Meaning that if the opportunity presents itself, they will change from their normal diet and eat something that is way out of their diet. With our deer friend, we can see that he has flat teeth because he is an herbivore. But for bucks, once it comes springtime and they need to regrow their antlers, it is not uncommon to find one of them killing small birds, rodents, and rabbits and eating and sucking on the bones to absorb their calcium and regrow their antlers back. So that is actually how they're able to regrow them every year. Now, in the case of other animals like sheep and rams or rhinos, they have what are called horns. Horns are not made out of bone. Horns are made out of keratin. Does anybody know what keratin is?
Like dead cells, and like other just kind of like.
So it is technically dead proteins, yes.
Yeah.
Keratin specifically makes up your nails. Okay? So when you have an animal that has horns, horns are made out of keratin. It's basically an area that, just like our own fingernails, it's trying to push out a lot of dead protein that the body doesn't need anymore, and it comes out really hard and difficult to break. However, they do have blood vessels attached to that horn. So has anybody here ever slammed their finger in the car door before? Yes. Have you ever broken your nail off and it's bled and it hurt a lot and it made you cry? Because I've definitely done that. Yeah, and it ripped you out. So we have blood vessels underneath our nails. We have veins that go underneath there to push blood through and then go back. Horns actually have a blood vessel going up through the main stem. And so if an animal with the horns actually breaks a horn, they could actually bleed to death from it because there is no way for the blood to actually clot, and keratin doesn't grow back the same way that bone does. That is one of the reasons why, if you guys ever go online, for instance, you will see people who own goats. They will actually put pool noodles over their horns when they start growing. Those pool noodles prevent the horns from getting caught and breaking, and it also helps prevent them from headbutting everything they see.
Bless you.
So that's the difference between horns and antlers. Now, when it comes to our other skulls, does anybody see another one that they want me to talk about?
Bless you.
This one right here? Okay. We will go on ahead and grab this little guy right here. So, This guy is a real one, and he is very, very delicate, so we have to be very careful with him.
Rodent.
But you can see, if you want to touch
No.
him very gently.
Oh, it's tinier. Rodent. Rodent. Okay, yeah. We have to go.
So that's what we're gonna figure out.
That's a rodent.
So he is actually not a rodent, but he does eat rodents.
It's a snake.
He is not a snake.
Not
no.
a snake.
So this little guy right here does indeed actually have limbs and such. He even grows fur. We know that he's not a reptile because
Is he a mouse?
No,
He is not a mouse,
it's
no,
like
but
a
he does eat
ferret.
mice.
It's like a ferret, weasel.
he is in the same family as ferrets and weasels. Yes. So
A hamster?
Here,
Is it a mole?
do hamsters eat mice?
Do moles
Things
eat mice?
bird
Oh, I think a mole is
squirrels,
a mice.
rodents, and
Some kind of
mice,
rodent.
baby rabbits if he can get them.
Ooh.
And they actually are commonly found living up in trees. They like to live in hollows, as well as in nooks and crannies. And they are known for being super, super sweet and cute. What's your question? A what? A monkey? So not a monkey. He's in the same family as ferrets. He is what we call a mink. So
A
I'm gonna
mink.
actually go
I don't think
ahead and
anybody was
put it
gonna.
here so you guys can see what a mink looks like.
Even through the recesses of my cranium. Oh my god, look. It's
How
Mr.
small he
Hodgman.
is.
It's Mr. Hodgman.
Get away from him. Because he's a predator, so he's got canines to eat. This right here is a mink. They are in the same family as ferrets and weasels.
Oh, okay. They're
They're
cute.
absolutely adorable. I love them.
Yeah, we need to leave.
So a lot of people will actually get these guys as pets, or they will try, as well as other.
It's 11:48.
Yeah, we need to
Personally, I don't recommend them as pets because they are very slinky and they can be very aggressive. Does anybody else have any other questions?
No. Are you guys ready to go? Yeah. Was that your last one? Okay. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, thank you. That was very good.